I owned a Tesla for 5 years before I actually thought about what goes into my battery.
When you think about these different lithium mines, I'm imagining that the percentage is totally variable depending on where you are, right?
Every brine is different. The starting concentration of lithium, like I gave an example of 200 parts per million or 1500 parts per million, but then all the other salts and the ratio, like those are considered impurities to us, right? We wanted to get just the lithium, and then we can make a battery grade lithium material. We want to get it away from all of those, and it varies from salar to salar, mine to mine. A lot of people don't really think about our industry, like what
Yeah.
they just think, that was the reason that I started the company. I was actually down in South America at the world's largest salt flat, which also happens to be the world's largest lithium resource, backpacking through Bolivia. And my tour guide starts telling me about how this is the world's largest lithium reserve. And I was like, holy shit, I have never thought about how my battery is made in my car that I've been driving for 5 years. And, this is like the underbelly of global manufacturing. How we get these base or raw materials that go into things like batteries for electric vehicles. And for lithium, there's very, very few other applications other than batteries for lithium. Like, there's some fringe pharmaceuticals, like lithium carbonate is used for bipolar disorder medication. Lithium is used in some glass applications, but batteries are it. You may think like, oh, cell phones, computers, like that's a big use case, but that is just a fraction compared to electric vehicles. So like I said, it takes roughly 10,000 iPhone batteries. One electric vehicle.
And the other thing that's fascinating is today we're at about in the US 4% EV penetration, but we expect it to by 2050 to be at 70.
Right.
So imagine that. So you just take your 10,000, you said? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So just run those numbers. Like, how do you keep, like, you're solving a really interesting problem. And is that when you were there? I always like the founding stories. When I started off, I had a room full of stuff and a daughter on the way, stand there in the doorway. I'm like, kill me. It's going to take me forever. Right. And I had no plans of starting this company. And then I just couldn't get out of my head. And like, I got to go do it. So it's really interesting to hear how you were there observing this. And then where did you go from there? Were you like, did you start doing a lot more research or like, yeah.
I started doing research, and that really opened my eyes to the current process that lithium is produced in today. That was the opportunity, right? Because all the other battery materials like copper or nickel, cobalt to a much smaller extent, but that's a very, very small percentage of the battery. All the other battery materials have other large applications. Like there's already 20 million tons of copper produced every year. Like it's used in all electrical wiring.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere. Same thing with nickel. But for lithium, it's not used for anything else other than batteries. So all of a sudden, you had this huge demand spike for lithium. And the way that it's produced today was not only created like hundreds of years ago, like evaporation ponds, like maybe thousands of years ago. The total global production was created to maybe produce 100,000 tons. And all of a sudden, we need multiple millions of tons. So scaling something like that takes a whole new way to do it. You can't scale the existing method. It'll never translate, right? So that's why what EnergyX is working on, this new way of direct lithium extraction is the main bottleneck to the entire electric vehicle revolution.
Yeah, I think a lot, in the future, especially the next 20, 30 years, we have to reinvent a lot of things, especially infrastructure for electric, but also just energy, period. There's just a lot of things by the way, we're pouring the same concrete mixture we did since the 1700s. It hasn't changed. It seems like you could, right? So I think I think a lot of things are up for grabs and in question, but especially around EVs, just given where it's going, like there's no way we can just do things the same way. It's just not going to work.